I don't really have like a train of thought. I have like 12 trains on 3 tracks. They're all narrowly missing each other, and all the passengers are dead, and the conductors are screaming.
Hello, Kindred! So when I talked about ways I've been coping with my anxiety a video or two ago, I mentioned an anxiety avatar. I didn't go into too much detail with that then, so I figured I'd kind of show you how I went about that. I essentially applied the same logic that I do when creating a character, which meant falling down some rabbit holes regarding anxiety and color correspondences. While I occasionally experience the paralysis of anxiety-induced depression, for the most part, my anxiety is very active and manic. High energy, rapid heartbeat, can't breathe, endless spiral sort of feeling. So with that in mind, I focused on a palette of red, orange, and yellow, which meant I knew I was going to use my pumpkin orange wig, so thus the eyebrows needed to match. Orange tends to be stimulating, being a combination of red and yellow, and studies have found our reaction to it tends to be both physical and emotional. In regards to physical comfort, we might think of something like the refreshing taste of oranges, or the warm glow of a home from the view outside at night. However, in certain hues, it can be seen as jarring, and one of its negative correspondences can be frustration. And frustration is a huge trigger of anxiety for me. Now for yellow, we tend to have a primarily emotional reaction, whether good or bad. The yellow wavelength is relatively long, so that emotional stimulus makes yellow the strongest color psychologically. The right yellow will lift our spirits and our self-esteem. It is the color of confidence and optimism. But too much of it, or the wrong tone in relation to other tones in a color scheme, can cause self-esteem to plummet, giving rise to fear and anxiety. Weird facts I found while researching that is a few studies have shown babies were more likely to cry in yellow rooms, and couples apparently argue the most in yellow kitchens, which I'm very curious to go diving into the research behind that. It just seems oddly specific, like yellow kitchens, right? Now red, being the longest wavelength, is a powerful color. Although not technically the most visible, it has the property of appearing to be nearer than it is, and therefore it grabs our attention first. Hence, its effectiveness in traffic lights the world over, or getting pulled over for speeding in a red car, even if you were kind of going the same speed as everyone else on the highway. Its effect is physical. It stimulates us and raises the pulse rate, giving the impression that time is passing faster than it is. Because of this, it can activate the fight or flight instinct. Red is strong and very basic. Pure red is the simplest color with no subtlety. It is stimulating and lively and can be very friendly. But at the same time, because of these qualities, it can be perceived as demanding and aggressive. Now in my costume and makeup design, I tried to have a mix of cozy and spiky, though my fingers are small, so my claws only stayed on 2 of them on each hand, so it works, it's fine. I went spiky with my horns and fangs and claws, and even sharpening my features a little bit with contouring, because when my anxiety is spiraling, I sort of feel like everything around me is sharp, and in turn, am more likely to be sharp with anything that may metaphorically or physically bump into me. Cozy, because I figured even a demon of anxiety probably doesn't like being anxious. I sort of picture her as being a little akin to Panic from Disney's Hercules. She wants to try and soothe herself as best she can, so she wears a hoodie and probably PJ pants, to be honest. Looking at the footage, I realize the yellow doesn't quite show up as much as I'd like it to, so to compensate for that, I'll probably end up switching out a yellow shirt next time I cosplay her. Now you know how I designed her. You may be wondering, why? First, because it was just fun. The second, because in giving my anxiety a form, I feel better able to separate myself from it. It's a facet of me, but it's not my identity. And when I need to meditate and deal with that anxiety, I now have a face I can imagine when I talk myself through a problem or an existential crisis. For many of us, our anxiety is this nebulous thing that exists in our minds. It has no form, it has no reason, it just kinda is. And it can come and go as it pleases. Many people, myself included, often feel persecuted by their own anxiety. But in making this little anxiety demon, I have a little more compassion for my anxiety. And by extension, for myself. She's this weird little roommate in my head who needs some extra help sometimes. And what is anxiety if not an overactive fear response? And your fear response is kind of an alarm. It's supposed to protect you from dangers. So while she may not be actually helping, knowing she's trying to helps make calming her down a little easier and a little less frustrating. Maybe this method won't work for you, but it's done me a world of good in the past. Have you ever personified an aspect of yourself like this before? Let me know in the comments below. Keep on the windy side of care, and until next time, kindred, stay curious.